So, did you guys watch this live?
Yes.
No.
It sounded like you spit. You're like, "Puh." No.
Yeah, I would. Puh. I would never watch this. I spit in the face of Sony's State of Play.
Yeah, no, I actually tried to watch it live. There was nothing really super exciting going on with it, so I ended up clicking off and going and doing my job and working. But that being said, it seems like they did a much better job as compared to Nintendo, who just kind of came out and showed a bunch of people stuff that they didn't really care about.
What do you mean, Luke? Neon White is coming out on Nintendo Switch. Bravely Default 2 has a demo. And don't forget, I didn't have any of the other games in my head. I can't actually remember.
Pocket Triangle was the only good thing.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
And it's basically like a more refined version of Octopath Traveler.
Speaking of Octo, we have about half of that in Crash 4, About Time, which was talked about in State of Play. That almost kind of works as a transition.
That actually, yeah, that's not
That almost does. That's a PS5 upgrade! I don't know what you could upgrade with it. I think it's made in, like...
You can upgrade it to 4K, targeting 60 FPS, faster load times, use of adaptive triggers, enhanced 3D audio, active cards, and save transfer.
Whoa! Basically, it's gonna run great. I'm a little frustrated that they haven't done more of these PS5 upgrades for games where, like, these types of things are more noticeable, because Crash 4 is not the type of game where, I think the PS5 would be fully taken advantage of. But that being said, I'm glad to see that they are pushing it. They're bringing another game into the PS5 family. It's cool. Comes out March 12th.
Is it, like, officially titled Crash 4? Did they take out the Bandicoot?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a goddamn shame.
Yeah.
Is it? Who cares? I guess if I get the game, I'll have to Returnal it.
That was good. Basically, it's a very fast-paced, creepy, bloodborne type monsters are all over. It's sort of a survival horror game. It kind of looks like long levels, stealth mixed with basic combat. It's also got this Groundhog Day system where you die and return to the beginning, hence the name Returnal, regularly, only to have the map changed and new enemy locations and numbers and everything shifted. So it's a lot like your standard, what's the word I'm looking for?
Roguelike.
Roguelike, that's what it is. It's like that.
Can I just say as well, of the 10 games that were showed, there were 10 games, weren't there, I'm sure. 3 of them have Groundhog Day mechanics. So is that a new thing now, where everyone's just suddenly watched Groundhog Day and is like...
So what it is it's an old thing, and people are getting less creative. And they don't want to have to make up their own stuff anymore. So it's like, have you ever seen the horror movies Happy Death Day?
No.
But...
Instead of making like a birthday-themed horror movie, they just made Groundhog Day horror movie, and then they did it again because they made a sequel.
Well, and I think it's relatively easy to produce because it's like, you know where you're starting. You can create this sort of procedural system that's fairly straightforward. Even something like Hades, it's a very simple system that's at play. It just works really well. But from there, you have a clear idea of where the player's going to start after every single run. You can have narrative stuff set up accordingly. It's easy enough to develop, and then also easy enough to test because you can just reset constantly and push it through. So I think it makes sense. I don't know to what degree the enemies reset will affect the gameplay. Like, I don't know if that's just, we move them from this hallway to this hallway, or if it honestly means every run it's going to be completely different. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see.
I will say, even though I act cynical about it, if the game is fun, I don't care if it's like Groundhog Day. But I would like a Groundhog Day video game at some point where you can play as Bill Murray, and he has a Kingdom Hearts blade, and he teams up with Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and they go killing people.
Yelling at B&B owners. And
I'd love that game.
Time.
And Mickey's like, oh, jeez, Bill, you gotta calm down. Shut up! God! I can't. I go back to the start of the day, Mickey, and then they do a little dance number.
Oh, it's a musical.
Oh, no, it's just dancing. No musical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just dancing.
No music at all.
No, it's
can hear
very
just
tasteful.
dancing to
You can
dead
hear
silence.
their disgusting feet dragging on the floor and like smacking around. And like Mickey like accidentally bumps into a coffee table, it's like, and like a bunch of stuff falls over. He's like, oh shit, and he has to clean it all up really quick. It's like, it's just very awkward. It's one of those games that feels a little bit too real. And speaking of a little bit too real, and by real I mean really not that interesting, FNAF Security Breach.
Yay! Jacob, break this down for us. You know a lot about FNAF. You've played everything.
Well, a little bit of background on this particular version. When I first started doing YouTube, I made 100 videos on Five Nights at Freddy's talking about theories and whatnot. Anyways, they came up with a new trailer and a new game, and it looks like I don't even know what to... It doesn't look fun. It looks really basic. It looks like a drag and drop Unreal horror game. Not to say that the people working on it are bad or the people that are excited for it are stupid, but if I was excited for it, I'd feel pretty stupid.
I mean, to me, it basically looks like they have this whole map laid out that is the Freddy Funplex or whatever they're going to call it. And within there, you play as a security guard, and you probably have some basic objectives. Like it's basically Night at the Museum, right? Like you're just going around, you have to lock somebody in here, you have to lock this character in there. And once you've done all that, you can leave and the night's over. And then it resets with the new game plus and it's way harder. It's a decent enough idea for a game. It can work. It's just really hard to make something like this fun. You know,
it doesn't sound... What was fun about the old games was like the gimmick was you're stuck in place for most of them. And it's like, okay, and then you feel like almost helpless and you like give it to your friend. You're like, give this a try. And it's really goofy too, because they're Chuck E. Cheese like animatronics. And then in this trailer, they're like, there's a guy with like a super deep voice and it's like going through the bunny face and it's like, have you ever been to Chuck E. Cheese and Chuck E. Cheese like turned to you and he went, what's up, you small child? Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There's like a bit of charm to like the, hoo-hoo, come follow me, kid.
Well,
Don't bring your parents.
I think that was almost more unsettling was that in the original games, like you can see they're designed to be welcoming and fluffy and fun, but they're falling apart, and that's part of what makes them scary is this dichotomy of cuddly kid's toy mixed with this thing that is going to kill me. So I'm worried that's going to be lost because they're trying really hard to make it scary. But also with something like this, like I don't mean to diss Scott Cawthon, the designer of these games. I don't know his full involvement this time around. Obviously, he has people helping him. But he's not known for fantastic AI or production quality. That being said, for a stealth game, especially one that has large levels, you need good AI for it to feel even remotely fair or to not feel cheap. And that takes money and time and very talented developers. And I hope they can pull it off, because if the AI sucks, the game feels too easy and cheap and isn't fun. And if the AI is so ridiculously overpowered, it's not fun because it feels unfair. So it's not easy to put something like this together. I wish them the best. We'll see. We'll probably play it on stream when it comes out, because it's...
You guys can.
Oh, we'll get you on there, Kimmy.
No.
We'll get you.
We'll do it on a Saturday afternoon. We'll figure out a way. It'll be
This
okay.
might be a bit of a tangent, but do y'all have Chuck E. Cheese over there in the jolly UK?
No.
Oh, okay. Moving on then. It sure is an odd world over there in the UK. Oddworld's coming out.
Oh God.
It's Oddworld is one of those games that I just couldn't care. I don't care about it, but it's just charming enough for me to be like, I'd like it to succeed, but not charming enough where it's like I want to help it succeed. Does that make sense? I
Yes.
don't want to play it, but I would really like more of them.
Yeah.
That
I don't think
will
it's
not
for
play.
me, but I hope it does well.
Yeah. I honestly don't know what to make of it. I haven't touched any games like this before in this genre or franchise, so I don't really know what to make of it. I might try it, but
Well, it's the April PlayStation Plus game.
yeah, and that's one thing I think Sony's
So-
doing very well is games like this where people are like, it's interesting, but I don't know if I want to front the cash. They're like, it's okay, here you go, you can try it. I think that's great. So boom, we'll try it.
Speaking of boom, that one doesn't work. Kena Bridge of Spirits.
I was like, how's he gonna transition to Kena from boom?
I don't think you can. Oddworld to Kena is just that's a weird line to drop. But this one looks cool.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
gorgeous. Cammy,
Very
what's it
Pixar.
about?
It is about a spirit guide guiding spirits. Don't know what else a spirit guide would do.
Checks out.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Spirit guide, guiding
Um,
spirits.
But the new trailer showed off combat more than any of the others, I think, so far. And the combat looks awesome.
It looks polished. It looks like
Yeah.
you said, Pixar-like. It just looks really freaking good. And it makes me wonder whether or not this scales. Whenever you see a trailer that's fantastic, you have to ask like whether or not that can scale to a full game. But as of
God,
right
I hope
now,
so.
it looks great.
It looks
So
great.
I'm excited.
The little cute,
They're
healthy
so
people.
cute. I want one.
Well, speaking of small and cute and wanting, Deathloop by Arcane.
I applaud you for the effort.
That one's a thing.
Todd's disappointed. He's not happy with you right now.
Zoom in on Todd Howard and make him say something offensive.
All of this just works.
Let me tell you something about Deathloop. I remember that thing I said about Groundhog Day, where I was like, boy, boy, is it bland and overused.
Yeah.
But hey, if it's good, who cares? If there's anyone that can make it good, it's Arcane Studios who's making Deathloop. It looks so incredible. It's James Bond meets Groundhog Day meets the Dishonored series. And that is all things I'm okay with. Specifically James Bond video games and the presentation of James Bond, because like I've mentioned before on the channel, quick trivia, how many James Bond movies has Jacob seen? Post it in the
no.
comments and I'll forget
7.
to check. That's right, 75 James Bond movies.
How many have you actually seen?
One. It's the one where the
Hurts my heart.
I've seen all the Austin Powers movies though.
Oh, that's okay.
I but yeah, Austin Powers is actually going to make an appearance in Deathloop. Did you guys know that? I now realize there's nowhere to go with this joke.
That's the extent of it.
But Deathloop looks awesome. I'm really excited to see just how it works out. I was really into Prey. I was really into Dishonored 2, Death of the Outsider, all of that stuff. It'll be nice to have a new setting. Just completely fresh, kind of minimalist style, 60s pop art inspired visuals. It seems like a lot of fun. I'm very excited.
And can I just say, as like a film TV nerd, that the trailer is so James Bond. It's untrue. Like, I've written a list. You guys can see it. I've written a list of things that's like, it's spot on James Bond, and it excites me so much.
That's that arcane attention to detail.
It's so good. Oh, slow-mo bullets. There's like silhouette images turning into other images. If you've seen an early James Bond film and you know the like intro title sequences you get, it's just like spot on. So good.
They knew what they were doing.
They're new. They're smart people.
Yeah.
Well, with that all being said, I think we're all pretty excited about that one. Time to move on to the final talking point.
This game is my fantasy.
Oh, if I were 7 again, I'd get on it.
It would make me remake my entire list of choices.
Oh, and I would
life.
have to... I would downloadable content my pants if I got into this game.
And I would integrate that truth into my daily life. This has been a stretch. It's a new
Speaking of
DLC.
stretch, Let's stretch on over to Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be, I believe, this is gonna be on the PS Plus thing, right?
Well, so they're going to allow
Yeah,
you to
this
get
month.
the PS4 version of the game through PS Plus. That does not come with a PS5 upgrade, which people were freaking out online about. I'm like, guys, they're giving you the $60 game for free. Like, you're welcome.
It won't look as good as the one that costs actual money. What the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
It already looks beautiful.
They're so
This already
entitled.
plays perfect.
But they are going to offer to everybody who bought it for the PS4 and has a copy, a free upgrade to the PS5 version of the game. So I'm happy. That's great. And they're also releasing the Integrate DLC, which is going to be specifically for the PS5. You cannot get it on PS4 because it takes advantage of some of the new tech. I also saw a comparison of the load times. Somebody tested it on a PS4 Pro to load into Final Fantasy VII Remake. It took around 42 seconds. They tested it on the new PS5 version, and it took 2 seconds. So, Daddy's ready.
Cammy, why don't you tell the people about Sifu?
The people about Sifu.
People,
This is
listen!
Wow, okay. This is another Groundhog Day one.
Another.
Another Groundhog
one.
Day one. And another one. But it does look, it looks really good. It's all about Kung Fu. The details on the story aren't quite clear yet, but I had a look into it because I thought it looked really cool. And apparently, this is according to IGN, Sifu will quite literally turn the student into the master, as each time the player character dies, they're revived slightly older and more skilled. It just looks really cool. Big Kung Fu game. In the trailer, it looked like, if you've seen Old Boy, is it Old Boy? The fight
Korean
in
movie?
the corridor.
Oh, yeah.
There was like a sequence like that. It just looks really cool. It's very stylized.
Remember, if you're gonna watch Old Boy, watch the remake.
Don't
Don't watch the remake.
Don't watch the remake.
It's actually one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's a trap.
It's for I was trying to trick you. I'm sorry.
I saved you.
She saved
Don't
you.
watch the remake.
And speaking of saving, you can save some major money with our sponsor for today's video, Not Eating As Much. Luke, you've been telling me not eating as much has helped you save money on when you got food that was too much. How did that work?
Pretty well.
Well, I'm on DoorDash right now, and I'm about to order food. But hey, maybe I'm ordering too much. Let's check. It's too late. I already hit order. Self-control's harder when you're impulsive.
It's harder.
Let's go with discount code 1132 cunt. You can get a free beverage on me. Back to the video. Whoosh. Thank you, sponsor.
Thank you, sponsor. So, overall thoughts with this presentation. For one, we didn't hear anything about a Last of Us Part 2 upgrade or factions or anything like that. We didn't hear about Ragnarok. We didn't see anything about Elden Ring. We didn't see anything about Final Fantasy 16, Resident Evil 8, Spider-Man 2, no Grand Theft Auto news, nothing about Stray, a lot of stuff.
Horizon either.
Yeah, nothing about Horizon. Although apparently that's still on track for Q4 of this year, so we'll see. It's honestly, we can poke holes. Every presentation is going to be missing something. You know, if they had all of this, we'd be like, they didn't say anything about The Witcher 4, you know? So there would always be something you can poke holes in. I think in general, they showed off some cool stuff. They had some surprises. I didn't expect them to give away Final Fantasy VII Remake. I didn't expect a PS5 upgrade. And we saw some nice titles that have high production value. And I think it's relatively exciting. It gets me pumped for this year. Although I think most of us are waiting for some of the big name games to give some hint as to what they're doing. Because as of right now, some of the biggest games that are supposed to come out this year are still just total unknowns. Nobody knows whether they're actually coming out or what's going on with them.